Let me first start by showing you what happens when you just start without an idea or a concept, or really knowing your subject. I decided to just do a sketch without knowing where I'm going with it. As you can see, it failed. Now, let's see if we can do better, with a bit of studying. At this stage, I already had a story in my mind before I started drawing poses. I wanted to do an alternative ending for DMC3, instead of Virgil falling in the abyss and Dante leaving. I thought, what if Dante went after his brother and recovered his body and all the demons followed him to the human world? So I decided to start sketching a pose of Dante carrying Virgil in different angles and situations. I used reference photos and adjusted them according to my vision. Try not to take too long in the stage, and try to draw each pose while picturing your concept in your mind and how it's going to look in each pose. At the end of the session, I liked pose number 5 the most. Now, I want to know Dante's and Virgil's faces more. I played DMC1 to DMC5 and yet, I can't actually draw them without carefully looking at their portraits. From artwork and screenshots from the game, no one can remember a face while playing a 30 or 60 frame per second game. Remember, while studying any subject, always write down notes on the side. It will help you remember what you learned from the current subject you are currently studying. Writing down your thoughts always make it more memorable. I started with the Dantes. Dante from DMC4, 3, 2, 1, 5, and then Virgil. Things to pay attention to in this stage is, special marks, the width and the angle of the eyes, the style of the hair, the tip of the nose, the corners of the mouth, the connection between the face and the hair. All these attributes makes the characters recognizable as Dante and Virgil. Again, don't take too long on each portrait. This is just a study, not a full drawing. 10 to 20 minutes each is quite enough. Dante from DMC4 and Virgil from DMC3 were my choices for this study. Understanding your character costume is essential for the final painting. You have to make sure you understand the fabric materials, armor if any, straps and buckles, and how would you wear it. So in this part, I studied Dante's costume from all DMC versions along with Virgil costume from DMC3. As you can see, every version has its own unique features that I make sure to write down, in case I decided to come back to it and draw it again in a different pose. At the end of the session, I decided to match the portraits to the costumes, and I picked Dante's costume from DMC4 and Virgil's from DMC3. So, I studied Dante's Rebellion sword and Virgil's Yamato sword, which were shown at their best on DMC3 and DMC4. Also, I studied the medallion from DMC3 and the guns from DMC5. In short, if I found the same object in more than one version, I always choose the one that looks better. So far, I didn't know if I was going to add a sword in Virgil's hand, or Dante's, but I knew for sure that Virgil going to be holding onto his medallion, and Dante going to have his sword on his back. As for the guns, I was thinking maybe they will be laying on the ground, but then I decided against it. Nonetheless, it was fun drawing these guns from DMC5. At the end of the session, I decided to include Dante's sword and Virgil medallion only. Placing the characters in an environment was a bit tricky. There were many options to choose from. Dante's and Virgil's last fight stage in the demon world, human world, and a ruined street, second fight stage area. So I decided to study most of these places from screenshots in DMC3. I spent mostly 10 to 15 minutes on each one, just to get a feeling of the area. I ended up mixing stage 3 and 5. The last part of my studies was to find artwork for professional artists who already tackled the same materials, background or lighting situation that I'm about to work on. It's not wrong to learn from better artists, the important thing is never to copy them. By looking at a red dress I can learn what Dante's red coat behave under the same light, or how metal reflect light. or what the sky would look like at sunset. Now it's always better to learn from real life or real photos, but I was looking here for how professional artists solve the same problems. The examples here were studies from different artists. From the card game, Legends of the Cryptids, their style was the same style I'm after for my own painting. In the end of the session, I stopped at 4 studies instead of 6. I was ready for my painting. Be careful that your studies don't take you far away from the real painting, a mistake I fall into from time to time. But nevertheless, I'm ready to paint now. See you in the next chapter.